This is the Ashish Ryan Sports and Political Podcast coming to you live from Hilliard, Ohio. Joining you today on this Thursday, a week off, just to just to change it up a bit, but I'm back. There's so much to talk about, obviously. Lonzo Ball, Rajon Rondo, LeBron James, DeMarcus Cousins, Kyrie. July 4th was yesterday. And just reminding people of the values that made our country what it is. Okay, so let me start with this. LeBron James is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. In the history of basketball. He's one of the greatest players ever. We all know that. But you know what else he is? He's transcendent. He is He's not only transcendent on the basketball floor, what he did was individualize himself, create his own brand in such a way that it transcends anything he's with. Look, free agents have signed with the Lakers before. The Lakers have drafted people before. LeBron James, for a 7-day sports news cycle, he has controlled it with one phone call to his agent, Rich Paul. He has controlled the entire sports media. Tom Brady leaves the Patriots. Okay, that's a day, that's 2 days. But LeBron has done his job as a transcendent, not only athlete, but as a figure. Saying he controls the news cycle. Not only does he control the cash, not only does he control what other players do, how other players do them in regards to moving and shifting teams. Look at Kevin Durant as the best example for that. But he controls the entire media narrative. And it is, I tell you what, it is just so amazing to watch for 7 days, 3 summers. He has controlled the entire news cycle, which shows the level of kind of evolution of his brand. With that, I say this. The NFL and the NBA and corporations and teachers' unions, let's understand what they are, what they're bound to. Corporations are immoral if they can get a profit, are moral if they can get a profit. They'll do whatever. They'll act, however, to get a profit. So this guy, this offensive lineman, I believe, Russell Okung, tweets about how the NFL has created a perception in order to get fans to blame the players for asking for too much money. You know, it's almost like I should blame the NFL for this, but I'm not, okay? Because the NFL is the biggest brand in America. The thread says, quote, "I will never understand how billionaire team owners have convinced the public that the players who put their bodies on the line every week and make less than 50% of league revenue are the, quote, ungrateful ones." Now let me say this. All of you are millionaires. The minimum, the lowest, the absolute minimum, the guys on the practice squad makes $400K a year. Alright? My father makes $125,000, about 3.5 times less than the base per year salary of a practice squad NFL, maybe even not NFL level player. Alright, so yeah, you do seem ungrateful when your fans are making 50 to 100K at best case. Next, I will say this. Let's dissect this statement. You know, I think if you've noticed on this program, I've always looked at statements and tried to dissect them. It's not about the statement as a whole. It's the little parts that you can take away from it. So Russell Okung says, "I will never understand how the NFL has controlled the narrative, has convinced the public that the players are ungrateful and they work so hard, blah, 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 blah." Alright, you want to know why they're able to control the narrative? Because you and your stupid players union. You and your stupid players union decided, oh my God, we're going to cater to the NFL on every issue except anthem kneeling. We care about anthem kneeling so much that we're not going to get guaranteed retirement benefits. We're not going to get increased research funding for CTE. We're not going to get increased base salaries for everyone, more options, taking away the franchise tag. We're not going to get all of that. We're going to negotiate for the kneeling controversy. And you know, this is what's ridiculous about this. What's ridiculous about this is no football signups, high school, college. It's going to water down to major college programs, to the pros. But it's already starting to water down to high school. 4-year-olds aren't playing football anymore. Excuse me. 4-year-olds are not playing football anymore. the NFL is in hot water across all fan bases. Now, let's just think about this. Take the correctness of the politics aside. I think both political spectrums have their rightful and own cases for not watching the league. But let's think about this. The left says it's a bunch of violence, it's a bunch of hitting. The people involved are involved with domestic violence and a lot of bad stuff. So I'm going to step away from watching it because of my moral goodwill. The right says, look, you're protesting the flag. I don't like that. I don't want to watch. The middle is left with an oversaturated product with about 10 teams that are good, 22 others that are not great. So you're not getting the greatest matchups every single week. And the the playoffs last like 6 games and a month. Like 6 games but a month in time. So you've got a short playoffs, fewer games, and your regular season matchups where the majority of the games are cast. Obviously, the revenue is not made there, but the majority of the games are cast, aren't very competitive. So you've got a ratings block on all sides of the political spectrum, if you want to call it that, where there is plain and simple reduction in the interest in the game. And see, this is the thing. The reason why college football is more interesting to me is because any game you lose, you may not play for the championship. In the NFL, you can lose 8 games, make the Super Bowl, and win it. 8 out of 16. If you go 6-6 in college football, you're playing in the Tax Slayer Bowl. So we can talk about shaking up seating and how all of that works, but that's a different discussion for a different time. The NFL, essentially what I'm trying to say, across all dynamics, across all shifts, the amount of negative publicity forcing consumers to stop watching or watch less of their product is at an all-time high. Now, it's America's game. I'm going to continue to watch it. I love football. Lots of people are. It's still the highest rated television show in the United States and will continue to be for a long time. But with all this negative publicity and your pool of players reducing actually pretty rapidly, you idiotic NFL players. I shouldn't say idiotic NFL players. The players' union. It's just stupid. Because what they should do, get all these football moms who fear the CTE stuff, who the ALS stuff, and who fear all of this, who have experienced some of this. The NFL players, the stars, the star quarterbacks should join the group in a bunch of commercials. Look, the reason they're able to control the narrative is because of sports television, is because of sports talk, is because it's on TV a lot. Now, if you're able to permeate that and say, look, I'm scared to do this. The NFL is forced on a public perception level to meet your demands. Number two, what makes these sports run? Players. If the players said, and this is why they should have done it a long time ago, but if the players said, we're not going to play, all of them, literally you scrapped week 1 because the CBA is not equalized. Then you get those guaranteed contracts. You get those options in the contracts. The free agency is expanded in football. The kneeling thing is ridiculous because the fans don't like that. You know what fans hate more? Not watching football because the players won't play. You have to use the consumer to your advantage. Don't do things if you kneel, you make yourself expendable. And by the way, because the kneeling is for 5 seconds, not that many people are leaving. But if you decide straight up not to play, even if consumers want to pay and watch, they can't get their money's worth because you're not participating. You're not giving them a product. Unions do this all the time. Teachers yell all the time for higher wages. And I'm not here to cast any kind of shadow or negative connotation over that. Definitely not. But here's the deal. The NFL should be able to do that. Stop yelling about the anthem protests. Start yelling about retirement pensions. More research being done. I mean, there are a bevy of things that you could achieve without having to talk about the freaking kneeling. Liberals are uncomfortable with it. Conservatives hate it. The middle group doesn't like everyone talking about it. Most Americans prefer you not do that, so don't do it. You're costing yourself in that regard. Stop focusing on the kneeling and start focusing on things that actually affect the players. And ultimately, that's the players' responsibility. Because they run the union, and if you don't use a union to gain certain advantages, what's the use of some? What is the use of that thing? What is the use? And it's got to be headed by stars. Chris Paul, LeBron James head the NBA Players Union. The NFL Players Union is... Do I hear Tom Brady synonymous with the NFL Players Union? No. Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers is so aloof, I don't even think he'd want to be a part of that. Cam Newton? No. Matt Ryan? No. Drew Brees? No. Carson Wentz? Obviously, he's only a rookie. If you don't have proper representation, you're not going to get equal value out of anything. Don't blame the NFL. Force the NFL to come to its knees because you are the ones that ultimately control the product. And if you decide not to use that control for the welfare of everyone else in the union, I can't do anything to help you. Alright, so that was a big NFL story. Lonzo Ball is the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, and there's speculation that, oh my, guess what? He leaked that torn meniscus message in order to keep him from being tradable. Yeah, I buy that. I buy that a lot. Look, what do you want me to say? Everyone's been saying it. Woj has been saying it. All the major media news sources have been saying it. But at the end of the day, there's something I have to say about the Lakers, about Magic Johnson. Okay? If Lonzo fails and they win a championship in the next 2 years, you think people will look at Magic Johnson as a GM, drafted Lonzo Ball? Oh wow, that's a failure. Oh wow, he absolutely failed because the one time he identified talent, something similar to him, he couldn't find that. Alright, you've gotta understand, and I'll say this again, there is no next Michael Jordan, there may be a next Kobe Bryant, but there is no next Michael Jordan, there is no next LeBron. But I think Zion Williamson out of Duke is going to be the closest thing to that. There is no next LeBron, there is no next Magic Johnson, there is no next Michael Jordan. Okay, stop using these overhyped player comparisons. Lonzo Ball. Okay, at least LeBron, you could work with that shot after his first 7 years because he knew, like, the basics of shooting the ball. There are things that he needed to fine tune, which he's done pretty successfully. 3 championships says a lot about that. But remaking his entire motion? Lonzo Ball needs to do that. And see, this is the thing. You know, with Lonzo's shot, you know where the release is going to start, you know where it's going to end, and it takes a long time. It's not quick. You can't move your arms from one side to the other quickly. You can't do that. You realize, right, why the side swipe fouls exist? You realize why that happens? When you move your arms from side to side in a shooting or even a non-shooting motion. Because it takes time. Because you can react. Those occur because when you move from side to side, it's a tell. It tells, hey, you're going to shoot the ball. I can see you moving your hands to shoot the ball. You honestly can't get a proper you can't get the proper shot off because everyone knows it is coming. This is the other thing with Lonzo. Lonzo Ball doesn't have a move. He can't get his own shot. Because let's think about how players get their shot. Let's look at prime shot makers. Kyrie, Michael, Kobe, and Steph. Michael and Kobe are the same type of scorers, but Curry, based on pure distance, creates his own shot. Michael, Kobe, using the post moves to create separation, body control on the fadeaway, and Kyrie Irving, and even James Harden to an extent. It's not even about can the guy fall on the floor. Can I lull him to sleep and get a couple moves and get a rhythm into the shot? Explain to me where Lonzo gets a rhythm. Explain to me where he gets that. Because you get a rhythm on the shimmy fadeaway. Steph Curry's one of the few non-rhythm shooters. But you're able to get a shot without a great contest because of the distance. So if he can't stand out there and make long range ones, if he cannot create off the dribble, and if he's not going to be a 15 to 3 feet kind of mid-post painted area, not even scoring down there, but the ability to work those types of moves in that area. If he can't create separation there, how's he going to be able to shoot the ball? Okay, and in the NBA, you've got to be able to shoot the ball. Now, what does this have to do with Rondo? Rondo can't shoot either. That's what you're telling me. But Rondo's athletic. Rondo has speed. Rondo is strong. Rondo is a stronger, aggressive Lonzo Ball that quite frankly shoots a bit better than Lonzo does right now. So this is the point where everyone knows that Lonzo's on the hot seat. Everyone knows that he leaked the information for the trade stuff. But what you don't understand is this. There's never a next Magic Johnson. There was never a next Joe Montana. Steve Young was a slightly worse version of Joe Montana. The next John Elway. Who? Where? And in the NFL, it's easier because prototypes are easy to find. Prototypes are easier to find in the NFL, but in the NBA, when physical builds are different, mental makeup is different, abilities are different, you cannot ever say Lonzo's the next Magic Johnson. What is Lonzo in this league? What is he? He's a pick and roll 90s point guard that can't shoot, that lacks athletic ability and size. He's a less physically developed Rondo. I watched him one time in college. The guy didn't impress me. Are you kidding me? He scored 8 points against Kentucky, against the best athletes. And in the first game against Kentucky, he wasn't all that impressive either. Against the best athletes, this guy wasn't very good. Let's be honest about it. Why can't we be honest about this kid? Rondo is one of the best athletes. He was a top recruit. He came out of Kentucky. That's what he is. Athletic DNA, you either have it or you don't. And in order to be great, in order to be viable, you need athleticism. Rondo has that. Not saying Rondo's great, but Lonzo doesn't. And yeah, they took the rumors and they planted them. Do you realize everyone says this is going to work so great? I mean, what are you talking about? Lonzo Ball shoots 48% from the free throw line. If he goes to the paint, they foul him, so he won't go to the paint. If he doesn't in the paint, how in the world can he pass the ball? How can he pass the ball? Rondo's athletic. Rondo can hit free throws, so he gets in the paint and can pass the ball. Stop talking to me about, oh my God, Rondo's going to mentally out-tough this kid. Rondo's 6'1". This guy's 6'7". If he can post up this guy, he can win the starting job. The issue here, and the issue, it's not about his mental. Everyone says, oh, he's not mentally fit to play. You're playing basketball. You're playing basketball. You played basketball your whole life. Mentally tough. You should want to compete. You play basketball for a living. You played basketball your whole life. You don't want to compete? Then let him get out of there. But stop telling me it's about his mental. If it is about his mental, he's not going to be viable anywhere. But if he's an NBA player, I do not believe it is about his mental. I truly believe he is not skilled enough to make up for his lack of athleticism. He's not skilled enough to play the point guard in order to fit LeBron. In order to fit LeBron, okay, the guy's going to have to facilitate from the painted area. And if he's going to get fouled there, if he's not fast enough, if he's not strong enough, if he can't shoot free throws, that's the discussion. Mental toughness. Stop telling me Rondo's going to mentally out-tough Lonzo Ball. I mean, these are two guys playing basketball. Lonzo's 6 inches taller, probably bigger. You gotta be kidding me, man. He's not gonna mentally out-tough Rondo. He looks down literally upon Rondo. if he gets intimidated by a used to wannabe old point guard, and this I'll give LeVar credit. Oh, that little backup guy. I have a problem with him saying it. But Lonzo has to look at it that way because that's what he is. That's what he was. He's a worn out, used to be premier point guard. But he's not now. And Lonzo Ball, bigger, should be faster at this point, but probably is not. Not stronger, but just taller. Playing basketball his whole life, knowing the pressure's on. You gotta make that jump. Mentally, nothing. If it phases him mentally, he won't last in this league past his LA stint. But I think it is either going to be his lack of skills or his lack of athleticism that separates Rondo from him. Will eventually get him traded. He's a nice player. But it's about his skills. It's about his on the court, neck down stuff that I think matters. I don't think it's the neck up stuff. He's more composed. He's taller. That has an intimidation advantage. That has a large intimidation advantage. Okay, he's taller. He thinks. He's really high basketball IQ, but really high just self-awareness on the basketball court specifically. But he's got the mental package. It's going to be physical that dooms him in this fight with Rondo to get the starting job. Anyway, this is the Ashish Sports Political Podcast coming to you live from Hilliard, Ohio. Up next, why socialism, communism, and distribution of resources never works, never will work. The only reason why it's ever worked is not because it's been successful. It just looks successful when when already terrible results have come into play. This is the Ashish Sports and Political Podcast.